This morning, the Russian capital under attack from a swarm of lethal drones.
You can actually see a drone flying over the city as a man points out of his window.
Russian officials say as many as 8 drones managed to breach Moscow airspace.
For the first time since the war in Ukraine began, a large-scale drone attack was carried out on Moscow. Russian officials said it shot down 8 drones, though some media reports say there may have been as many as 30 in all. There were few injuries, some building damage, and no reports of any deaths. But Russia is angry. Its foreign ministry is threatening to respond with the harshest possible measures, while Ukraine says it wasn't us. From a presidential advisor, we are pleased to watch and predict an increase in the number of attacks, but of course, we have nothing directly to do with this. And just this morning, Russia accused Ukraine of drone strikes on 2 Russian oil refineries on the southern border. Shelling reportedly also hit a neighboring Russian town, injuring 4 people. These attacks are significant because they mark an inflection point. After more than a year of fighting within Ukraine's borders, we are increasingly seeing large-scale incursions into Russian territory, one of the most heavily protected airspaces on the planet. And make no mistake, this is a big blow to a country which, until now, had managed to insulate many of its people from the realities of war. Since the start of the war, Putin has reassured his people it would not threaten the lives of ordinary Russians. But this drone strike has shown otherwise, and it's shaking confidence in Moscow. Someone who lives near one of the buildings that was hit told AFP news agency, "I somehow thought the conflict was far away, that it would not affect us, and then suddenly it came to us."
It's Moscow, not a border town. This should not happen.
The question is why it reached here. I mean, there should have been some kind of air defense for all this. That's all. It's scary.
Russia's public-facing reaction to the strikes is very intentional. Ukraine denies responsibility, yes, but that is meaningless to Putin.
I think the Russian narrative will be, okay, Ukraine denies responsibility, but we know it's them, and it will try to create the narrative that Ukraine is doing this because the United States and other Western countries have been increasing arms supplies to it, and this is the root cause.
That's Rajan Menon, by the way. He studies defense strategy at the City College of New York. We caught him in Kyiv attending a conference. He also made an interesting point to us about language and how the Kremlin isn't mincing words.
Vladimir Putin, seemingly quite angry, pointed the finger of blame squarely at Kyiv. Here's what he said.
Kyiv chose the path of intimidation of Russian citizens and attacks on residential buildings. It is a clear sign of terrorist activity.
Terrorist activity. That's a pretty strong claim coming from a regime that has itself been accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity.
To call the Ukrainian attacks terrorist attacks, in my eyes, certainly has no credibility. And I'm not surprised that he said it, because in terms of attacks on civilian targets, which have led to the death of people, there's no question that this has been a one-way street, largely speaking.
But it shows how seriously Russia takes this breach. One of Putin's lawmakers even called the attack the most serious assault on Moscow since the Second World War.
The war has been certainly brought home to Ukrainians. I mean, they have felt it very, very directly, and the Russians have not. And so I think the calculation here seems to be, well, we need to show that we have the capability to make them feel a little bit of the war as well.
So how can we expect Russia to respond? Well, first, any retaliation would be an escalation on top of what is already a highly aggressive campaign. Even before the drone attack on Moscow, Russia had been bombarding Ukraine with overnight missiles and drone strikes. On Saturday, Russia launched its largest drone attack yet on Kyiv. Ukrainian air defenses reportedly shot down more than 40 of them, but then Kyiv faced 3 air raids in the span of 24 hours from Monday into Tuesday, sending people scrambling into shelters. A 33-year-old woman was killed, 13 other people injured.
The skies over Kyiv lit up as one after another Russian attack drones were met by Ukrainian air defenses.
Where we are right now, you can see substantial damage after one of these drones impacted here. You can see the cleanup is already going on.
But the thing to understand here is that whether we're talking about Russian retaliation or even just its most recent attacks, there is a level of unpredictability.
From sitting here, I'm not entirely sure what their purpose is, because if it's to scare people or intimidate people or shape public opinion in some fashion that's favorable to Russia, that's not happening. So I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of this is. It seems to be almost an exercise in frustration.
So yesterday's attack on Moscow may have made things worse for Russia, adding insult to injury in a way. Not only has Russia's offense fallen far short of expectations, we may be seeing an underscoring of Russian vulnerability, raising questions about the effectiveness of its air defense system. So while we can't predict how exactly Russia will retaliate, there is one thing on which many experts agree, that all of what we've just discussed, added together, may only serve to prolong the war.
I think that you'll see an escalation. Now, the Russians can do much more by way of air and missile attacks on Ukraine than the other way around. They simply have more hardware and military capacity to do that. I think one of the things that the Russians will do is to try to punish Ukraine's biggest cities, above all Kiev, because it has symbolism as the capital, the center of political authority, and so on. So I expect things to get worse rather than better.